I want to be honest with you guys. The story around the numbers fluff up, pardon me, around the prison things, I didn't think it was that big of a deal. Like, I watched Breakfast this morning. Stay with me, baby birds. And Luxon was explaining it, and I was kind of going, you know, if this was my team in, they'd be making a mistake. You know, they've got their numbers wrong. Is it really the biggest deal in the world? But Chewy, then I saw the press conference. Yeah. So let's just go through this together, shall we? All of us. And see if I was my initial thoughts of, it's not such a big deal. Honestly, that was my thought. So you know how people always talk about we just jump all over national data? It's like my initial thought was, yeah, they messed up their numbers. They said one wrong thing, no big deal, really. So let's have a look at this, and we'll go through it. So we're actually going to do it backwards, right? This is Breakfast this morning, them talking about the fluff up over the numbers and what it all means for Waikeria Prison.
Look, there was a bit of a mix-up in the press conference. I spoke to Mark on the way out and we quickly clarified it. Essentially, there's 455 beds at Waikeria Prison today. There's 600 beds that will come on track to, next year. And what we announced yesterday was an additional 810 on top of that. And as you quite rightly identified, Waikeria will have a prison capacity of up to 1,865 beds. But also in that announcement was actually, we want to hire almost 700 new correction staff at the front line. We want to make sure that we've got pay increases set aside for them. And importantly, we want to be able to offer rehabilitation to remand prisoners. We want to spend almost $80 million doing that. So honestly,
it didn't feel like the biggest deal in the world to me.
Lives around much quicker.
They made a mistake at a press
really
conference.
Good package as we try and, as we work very hard to restore law and order.
Sure. As you say, it was a really good package, but unfortunately that was all lost in what was a fairly confusing announcement. It was embarrassing, Prime Minister, that there were so many mistakes.
Well, no, just say a bit of a mix-up on the Waikeria prison beds. As I said, we clarified that very, very quickly.
Anyway, then he continues on, Joe, and he goes through all his numbers and he goes back to we're going to be hard on crime. And I'm trying to be honest with you guys. I did watch that and I did kind of go, whatever. People make mistakes. And then, Chewy, I watched the press conference and my mind was changed. So let's have a look at part. This is TV3 news from last night. So that one was from this morning, and this was actually from last night. We didn't use it because I was like, I should probably find out how bad it was. It was this bad.
The government is investing $1.9 billion in corrections to deliver more frontline corrections officers, more prison capacity, and more support for offenders to turn away from a life of crime.
As the government amps up its tough on crime talk, it's boasting funding to add 810 new beds at Waikeria, except all is not as it seems.
The 810 new beds, are they on top of the 500 that are already being built at Waikeria?
No.
So you're only doing 200 extra beds, not 800 extra beds?
No. There's 800 extra beds going into the system.
But 600 of them were funded by the Labor government.
Just 200 more beds, they say, not 800.
I think what we're doing is we're restating our commitment as the incoming government to get that delivered.
The government couldn't say how much the total prison capacity would increase by as compared to current capacity.
So just remember, this is the announcement. The announcement for the prison, they couldn't say that. And look, I'm still even going, like, not right now, but when I was watching it for the first time, they fluffed their numbers. Is it really a big deal? Cho, you want to say anything before we keep going?
I think it is a big deal. When you're getting the press into a room and making a big announcement, you've got to realise that you're talking to a room full of people that are going to crawl inside your words.
Yep.
They are going to go and they're going to run your numbers, and they also have a fucking memory. Yep. This is some basic kindergarten level stuff. And that's without even touching on the fact of they're pouring money into a prison. They're not pouring money into stopping people getting to prison.
Yeah.
Like Mark Mitchell banging on about making New Zealand safer. You literally aren't making it safer because they've already done the crime that puts them in jail.
I think you actually mean Mark
Mitchell. I think my favourite is how he says billions. Billions.
So, Chewy, you already jumped off the deep end. Yeah, it's a problem. I'm just saying, when I watched this for the first time, at that point, I was still going, is it really the biggest deal that they fluffed some things? Yeah, it's not very good. Look, now let's get to the end of it, because it gets extraordinarily worse. Trust me.
So what is the current capacity of Waikeria Prison?
How many prisons now?
At the moment, the Waikeria Prison hasn't been delivered. So it won't have...
There are prisoners at Waikeria right now, aren't there?
So that's the old prison. I'm talking about the new prison. I'll have to check on those numbers.
Nor could it say how much the extension would cost.
How much is that extra 200 beds going to cost?
Well, I mean, I can't give you a number now because it's commercially sensitive.
It's budget.
The PM then...
That's actually a really interesting point. He's saying it's commercially sensitive. Are they not going to release how much this is going to cost? That's in the budget. That should be absolutely front and centre. They kind of say to reporters, no, we can't talk about that commercial sensitivity. No. It's our money. You can't do that. That was more telling, that answer, than I think News Hub gave it.
Wrongly suggested that the $1.9 billion was all operating expense. That means not new buildings.
Yes, it's all operating.
So none of it's for actually building the buildings?
Well, in that budget is the money that we need to expand Waikeria by 810 beds, and that money is also the money that we need to make sure that we are expanding the number of prison officers and corrections officers that we've got.
Quickly clarified.
Can I just absolutely double check you on that? Is there no capital funding in that?
No, so the capital funding is inside the $1.9 billion.
The announcement also includes $484 million in savings that the government has redirected from the back office to the front line. That'll pay for 685 more corrections staff, 470 of them prison officers, while $78 million will be spent on rehab for remand prisoners.
But all of this is to say that safety and victims are clearly this government's priority.
Serious about tough on crime, just not so serious about knowing the numbers.
So by the end of that thing, I was going, okay, yep, this is a big deal. Incompetence, thy name is Mark Mitchell. And I do wonder, to be honest with you, about how much incompetence we can throw at Christopher Luxon for that. I wonder if he's going to go on, my middle manager's got all across us, we can leave it up to them. And then when his middle manager wasn't, and Luxon had to jump in and try and cover some stuff, and then he gave out wrong information, they got corrected by the minute, yes. Yeah, so my initial thoughts this morning when watching Breakfast was like, all politicians get numbers wrong from time to time. Then watching the actual press conference, I'm like, holy shit, this is abysmal. The reporter for that then goes on to say this is the worst she's ever seen a press conference by any government ever. I'm like, okay, yes, it's a big deal. I agree. I'm with you, Joey.
Do you think there's a moment that we're like, maybe we shouldn't take Mark into this press conference about his portfolio because he might have to think on his feet.
Yeah.
Which is something he's incapable of doing. The number of flubs that he said when talking to actual humans is beyond the pale. It's just a shit show. Shambolic shower of shit.